What's going on, you guys? It's me, Anderson, and I am back finally doing a YouTube video. And we're gonna start a bit of a series here. I'm moving my mic closer to my face just in case. Ooh. This is all staying in. I'm not cutting any of this. But we're starting a new series here. Survivor 50 starts tonight as of me recording this and as of this being released. Tonight, Wednesday, February 25th, Survivor Season 50 starts. So I thought, let's talk about it every week right here on this channel. We're kicking things off with a bit of a player evaluation and player draft. Me and Paige Mathers yesterday did a little bit of a player draft. So we're going to be going over the player picks. She was unable, I shouldn't say she, we were unable to find a time where we were both available to get on a call and do this live. So instead, we did it over text message back and forth. She has sent me videos explaining her choices, so we're going to go over all the choices. You'll hear from her thoughts on those, and we'll go through them and see who wins. But first, let's establish the rules for this player draft. Each player will take turns drafting the Survivor 50 cast onto their teams till each player has a team of 12 and every Survivor 50 cast member is chosen. There are 24 people on the Survivor 50 cast. All of them are being used in this draft. Each cast member is worth 1 point at the start of the season. For each player they outlast, they become worth 1 more point. So what that basically means is right now every player is worth 1 point. So we both have 12 points to start because we have 12 players. I'm just going to say, I'm also going to be going over my predictions a little bit in here. I'm just going to say it, and you're going to hear this 10 more times in this video, I'm sure. I'm a believer in Jonathan first boot. Controversial pick, I know. But I think Jonathan's going out first. So in the case that does happen for the sake of this rules example, Jonathan goes out, he stays worth 1 point. Everyone else is now worth 2 points. And that keeps stacking for each player. So Jonathan goes out first, he's worth 1 point. Everyone else goes up to 2. Then let's say Genevieve goes out second. Genevieve will stay at 2 points, everyone will go up to 3, so on and so forth until the end of the season. Additionally, the cast member who wins the season will gain their team an extra 20 points, second place will gain an extra 10 points, and third place will gain an extra 5 points. So basically, if you have someone who made it to Final Tribal Council on your team, that will give you some extra points. So here's the point breakdown and how it works out. First is going to get you 44, second is 33, third 27, fourth 21, fifth 20 points. Words are hard. Sixth 19 points, seventh is 18 points, eighth is 17 points, ninth is 16 points, 10th is 15 points, 11th is 14, 12th is 13 points, 13th is 12 points, 14th is 11 points, 15th is 10 points, 16th is 9 points, 17th is 8 points, 18th is 7 points. Again, I said I'm leaving all this in. I'm going to stick to it. 19th is 6 points. 20th is 5 points. 21st is 4 points. 22nd is 3 points. 23rd is 2 points. And 24th is 1 point. All right. So, without further ado, let's get into the draft. So here we have Paige's team. So I'm going to kick it off over to Paige to explain her first draft pick.
Hi everyone, my name is Paige Mathers, aka the winner of this Survivor 50 draft. Let's go for my draft picks. I wrote them out. Okay. My first pick was Cirie. Cirie is my girl. When I saw this casting come out, I said, wow, they doing this mixed season so that Cirie can finally win. That's my winner. That just going to be very sad. I think this might have been a riskier pick for me just because I think this season will go either way, but either they're targeting new players because just based off of season 40, they went after a lot of the older players, it seemed first. Like Boston Rob and Boston Rob, Amber, they were all kind of very early in the game, which surprised me, but I also think because the game has definitely shifted since the last time they played. So that's why having an older player as my top pick is definitely a little bit concerning me, but she did play Trader. She has been around. Was she on Big Brother? I don't know. She's just, that's my girl. So yeah, that's my first pick.
All right, so as you just heard, Paige's first draft pick was Cirie Fields. Now, that sucked. Because also, just so you know, how we picked who went first is I spun a wheel with our names on it and landed on Paige. Paige got the first draft pick. I wanted Cirie for my first draft pick because I truly believe that Cirie wins the whole thing. However, Paige got Cirie, so let's go over a little bit about Cirie Fields here. She's been on 4 seasons of American Survivor before this, 12, 16, 20, and 34. She is considered the best Survivor player to never win. Her second appearance on Survivor Micronesia, or otherwise known as Fans vs. Favorites, she was in an alliance called the Black Widow Brigade, which was led famously by Parvati Shallow, and she convinced Eric to give up his immunity that he had won at the challenge to one of the other members of the group, and then they voted him out. So, one of the best plays in game history. On Heroes vs. Villains, it didn't go too well for her, but then on Game Changers, she became the only player to ever be, I guess, I'll say voted out without getting a single vote cast on her. Everyone had idols and advantages that allowed them to get out of Tribal, which meant that the only person that people could have voted for in that Tribal Council was Cirie, and she went home because of it, and the 0 votes were cast on her. The only time that a player has been voted out without getting a single vote. This is her 5th time on American Survivor. She was just on Survivor Australia versus the World alongside Parvati. I haven't seen it. I don't know what happened in that season. But from what I've heard, she's definitely been working at her skills. She is apparently better at competitions now, which she is not notoriously known for. So I have high hopes for Cirie this season. Clearly, that's why Paige chose her. Also worth noting that Cirie was on Snake in the Grass. I've never seen it, but I believe she won that. She won Trader Season 1 as the only Trader to this day to still win. And she was also on Big Brother, made it far into that game. I believe she got, I forget if it was 5th or 4th she got on Big Brother. So she's been all over the place. She's an amazing game player and has a great strategic mind. And I think she could go all the way, which is why I really wanted her on my first pick. But Paige took her. So now let's head over to my first pick. Now, for my first pick, I started this draft by basing my picks off of my predictions. So Cirie, I thought was going to win the whole thing. That's why I wanted her as my first pick. But instead, I went with who I think is going to get second in this entire season. And that would be Ozzy. Now, with Ozzy, this is also his 5th time on American Survivor. He is a great provider for tribes. He is a great challenge threat. Now, also worth noting on Ozzy, and I did my research going into this so that I can ensure that I got a good team. Ozzy was one of 3 people who Survivor sent to the Grammys. It was Cirie, Ozzy, and someone else who I'll talk about in a little bit. So that to me says that something happened here to where it was worth sending him. Also, I just found this out now. I didn't know this when I drafted him. But literally last night on Jimmy Fallon, Jeff was there, and he played Pictionary with Jimmy along with 3 Survivor contestants, and that was Cirie and Ozzy again, and this time it was Charlie instead of the other person who was at the Grammys. So I think Cirie and Ozzy go deep in this game. Cirie and Ozzy, along with the other person who was at the Grammys, were also all on the same starting tribe, which leads me to believe that they make it to merge and then have a majority alliance that runs the game past that point. So I'm hopeful for Ozzy. Ozzy, I know, is hopeful for Ozzy because I also watched all of Mike Bloom's interviews with all of these players, pre-game interviews from before they filmed the season, where he was asking them friend or foe for every person, right? And on Rob Has a Podcast with Mike Bloom, he compiled that into a very, very standard chart about who wants to be friends with who wants to be foes with who's neutral towards who. And the interesting thing about Ozzy is that he is the only player on this entire season where every single player who is on his tribe wants to be friends with him. No one wants Ozzy out. Not a single person. He's the only player who does not have a single foe or neutral person going after him. He's the only one. So I think he's going to make a deep run in this game. Ozzy has proved himself many times looking here on the official Survivor 50 website. He's tied the record for the most Immunity Idol wins post-merge. And then what does that say? Words are hard. Hold on. Again, I'm leaving all of this in. It's going to be great. He declared himself as a free agent during, I believe that's South Pacific. Which kind of, means that he's just going to, like, float around. Just a floater is what we call that in today's world. But that to me seems like he was one of the first people. I just completely went silent. Again, this is all staying in because I'm lazy. I don't want to edit it. It's funny. Yeah, and he made it on the Final Four that season. So Ozzy's another great player, deserves to be on the season 100%. That's why I chose him, and I think he's going to go all the way. So now we're going to head back over to Paige for her to explain her second draft pick.
Second pick, Rick Devens. Okay, I have seen seasons... my mom has seen every single season of Survivor. So I started watching probably around season like 35, 36. And then I watched up until probably about like 44. And then the last couple seasons I have been a little bit behind on. I do follow it still. I did watch 49 though. And I'm so excited for this season. I will be watching. Rick Devens played an incredible game. During the season, I was not rooting for him. I did not like Rick Devens during his season. But I do think he's a very smart player, and I think just the way that guy won, the way that Chris won that season was so good. This might be Rick's season, because if he plays the same way, literally Rick Devens would have won the entire season 38 Edge of Extinction if it weren't for Chris. And I loved Chris's game was incredible. 38, 37, I don't know.
Alright, so as you just heard, Paige's second draft pick, to my disdain, because I went into this knowing which 12 players I wanted, and she immediately took two of them, is Rick Devens. Rick Devens I think, is going to get fourth, which I know he loves to hear getting fourth. It's his favorite place to be. For those of you who don't know, Rick Devens is a news anchor. He was on season 38, which was the Edge of Extinction. He was sent to the Edge of Extinction, I believe, right? Yeah, he was at the Edge of Extinction. He won a challenge that allowed him back into the game. And then he lost at Final Four Fire Making. I think without Final Four Fire Making, Rick Devens could go on to win that season. But he's competitive. He's good at challenges, kind of. That was really mean. I need to not do that. But Rick Devens is also just a great character. People like Rick Devens. And also worth noting about Rick Devens, which is really the main reason I wanted him on my team. I don't know about Paige and what she said. But the main reason I wanted Rick Devens was because he is also on the same starting tribe as Cirie, Ozzy, and the other person that was at the Grammys. So that really does lead me to believe that they don't lose that many challenges to where they at least have 4 of them going in to merge, and they make a deep run together. Also worth noting, Rick Devens has been in a bunch of the promotional stuff for this season. Because I come through like every trailer, every Instagram post, looking for who was featured where. Rick Devens was. And it's also worth noting that before season 50 started, they were re-airing a bunch of old episodes of Survivor starring a bunch of these players. Rick Devens had an entire episode where it was basically just a Rick Devens show. And a few players did as well. And then there were some players that were left out of this run, which are the players that I ended up not really wanting on my team. So that's why I wanted Rick Devens, and they're all good reasons of why Paige took him. But now we go over to my next draft pick. All right. So you might be thinking, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Colby? Is it going to be Christian? Is it going to be Genevieve, who a lot of people think is going to win this season? It's going to be big, strong Jonathan. Well, as you know, I always said he's first boot, so definitely don't want Jonathan. Is it going to be like Stephenie? Like, which iconic player am I going to choose? And I think it's going to come as a shock that I went with Joe. Joe, I think, makes it Final 3. If he doesn't make Final 3, I think he makes it very far into this game. He was the third person that was at the Grammys with Cirie and Ozzy, which is just an odd group to send. Cirie and Ozzy together makes sense. Joe throwing on as a third there doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Unless something happens in Survivor 50 where they're working together, in which case that makes perfect sense, right? So that's my thought there. Joe was just on season 48, one of my personal favorite seasons, one of my personal favorite players. He was known as having his I'll call it an alliance with Eva, but really it was a deep, emotional, personal friendship of genuinely wanting to help Eva. There's a great moment in that season, which I was surprised wasn't on the rerun list of episodes leading up to 50, where Eva, who publicly has autism at that point in the game, Joe was the only one who knew. She has a anxiety autism episode breakdown, and there's this beautiful moment between Eva and Joe where kind of the entire cast sees Eva struggling, and everyone agrees in that moment that it's okay, even though at this point there had been a tribe swap and Joe and Eva are no longer on the same tribe. Everyone was okay with Joe going over to help her, not on a game level, but just on a person-to-person level. And that's the kind of guy that Joe is. That's the moment where, I don't know if you saw on Instagram or anything, that if you haven't seen 48, that's the moment that made Jeff cry for the first time ever on the show. It was a powerful moment, and it really speaks to the kind of person that Joe is. Now, I think if he plays exactly how he did on 48, he will not make it. I think that he can keep his nice guy, he can keep his loyalty, but he needs to be willing to gun after people. He needs to be willing to cut throats. He can keep most of what he did the same, because it worked decently well. It got him to third place. But if he wants to make it, he needs to step it up. I think he has it in him, though. And that is why I picked Joe for my second pick. So now let's head back over to Paige to see who she got for her third pick.
Next, I picked Christian. He played a good game when he was on. So that's my reason.
All right, so this one came as a shock to me, because she picked, as you just heard, Christian. Now, Christian, I think, again, is a great player and a great pick. Not on the list of 12 I had wanted, but I still think it's a real solid pick. He's from season 34, that's not what that says at all, holy. 37, sorry. But yeah, he's a bit of a character, right? And I'm a character, so I feel comfortable saying this. He's a bit out there and a bit zany, and that's okay. He's also really, really, really smart. And I think that's what's going to kill him in the end. I think people are going to realize that, and then the second they get a chance, he's gone. He's also one of 3 players from his season, which is not going to do him good. So, it's the thing of Christian's a great player, and I think if he makes it far enough into this game, he's going to go all the way. There is a moment in the promo, which I believe Jeff at some point, I couldn't find it, but I believe Jeff said was in the first episode, where Christian has a line where he finds the Jimmy Fallon idol or whatever it is and goes, "My life in this game is in the hands of Jimmy Fallon." Which makes me think that people are immediately going for him. Because otherwise it wouldn't matter if he got the Jimmy Fallon thing or not, right? So that makes me worried, and is why I didn't really want him. He is a smart guy, and he's charming, and definitely can win people over if he stays long enough to do it. I just don't know that he's going to stay long enough to be able to win people over. So that's why I didn't want him, but I think it's a good choice from Paige. Now, going into my next pick. You might be thinking, Ozzy and Joe. Sure, but two strong guys. Right? Surely you don't have a third strong guy on your team, right? You'd be wrong. I have Colby. I got Colby right there. Colby is one of the first players to play the game who was in the season. He was on season 2, way back when in the Australian Outback. I just rewatched that season recently. He got second place, lost to Tina. He came back for All-Stars in season 8, and he again came back for Heroes vs. Villains season 20. Now, here's the thing with Colby. And Jeff acknowledged this, which is why I feel comfortable with Colby on my team. It's no secret that on Heroes vs. Villains season 20, Colby did not want to be there. He did not want to be there. He was so over it. He wasn't really playing to win. However, it has been, like 10-ish, about 10-ish years since then. And Jeff has said that Colby was one among the first people that they called, and that when they called, it went from what was scheduled to be like a 10-minute phone call to an hour long of them discussing if Colby really wanted to be there. And if Colby didn't really want to be there, he wasn't going to go. Obviously, by the fact that he's in the season, he is ready to go. He's ready to play. He wants to be there. Colby, when he wants to be there, is an incredible player at this game. He wins time after time after time, challenge after challenge. He's helpful around camp. He is just overall charming. People like him. And yeah, it's just great things about Colby. The one issue I could see coming up with Colby is people wanting him gone before merge. That's my one concern. But other than that, I think Colby's in a great spot, especially coming out of Heroes vs. Villains, because what I just said about him wanting to be there, the players on the beach do not know that at the time of their filming. When they filmed the season, they didn't know that about Colby. So they could have been going in expecting Heroes vs. Villains Colby. And if they were going in expecting Heroes vs. Villains Colby, then no one is gunning for him. No one is trying to vote him out. So I think that will all work for him in the end. And that is why I want Colby on my team. All right, now let's kick it back over to Paige for her next draft pick.
Next up is Stephenie. We gotta have some more female power. It did end up being 6-6 female and male, which I didn't try for or anything. Stephenie is a challenge beast. I'm watching Traders right now. I watched season 4 and now I'm back to 1 and she's currently on 1. And I just love her. I think she's an icon. I love her. Yeah, I think she's a queen. So that's why I picked her.
All right. So as you just heard, Paige's next pick is Stephenie. Now, Stephenie's an interesting one. Stephenie was one of the first people to play back-to-back seasons. Not the first, but one of among the first. She was on season 10, season 11, and then again on Heroes vs. Villains season 20. Stephenie was a good player in her seasons. I don't remember all too much about her. Because I haven't gone back to watch those seasons ever, and I haven't seen Heroes vs. Villains in a long time. But I know that she's a good gamer. I know she's strong. And she's here, so she definitely wants to play. However, I do seem to recall her playing Traders back in season 1 with Cirie, and her not doing so well, and me being disappointed at how not well she was playing that game for a Survivor player. And it's for that reason that I really did not want Stephenie on my team. So when Paige took her so early on, I was like, yes! I don't have to worry about her. And it was great. Yeah, Stephenie. Anyways, for my next draft pick. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Is it a good one? Oh. And I'm happy I did, because I learned some things. I learned some things that made me worried right after I said it. And then I learned more things after that. which made me very happy that I picked him. Because we've got Ned Schneebly himself, Mike White, joining my draft team. He was also on season 37 alongside Christian. He's a big-time Hollywood producer. Everyone's going to want to spot on White Lotus. And also, did I say producer? Because I meant writer. Everyone's going to want to spot on White Lotus, which is his show that he's running right now. And for that reason, one or two things is going to happen. And I think both of these things are going to happen. I don't think it's one or the other. I think both of them are going to happen depending on who it's come from. One, some people are going to want to kiss up to him to try and get a spot on White Lotus. Two, people are going to want him out because he already has plenty of money and they don't want to spot on White Lotus. So I think that's going to work both for and against him. Now, last time we saw Mike, he was this scrawny little guy. He was on the Goliath team because of his fame and money and stuff. But he was a scrawny little guy who and he used that to his advantage. He played into that stereotype a little bit. And what I found out the other day is that within the first few minutes of them being on the beach, at some point, everyone found out that Mike White now has abs. This man apparently is ripped, and I can't wait to see it, because these are Jeff's words. I have yet to see Mike White be ripped. However, according to Jeff himself, apparently Mike White is ripped in this season. Which means I now have 4 strong guys. I didn't know that when I was choosing this. I really thought Mike White was switching it up a little bit for me. But no, it's just another strong guy apparently, which I was unaware of. He got second place on his season of Survivor back in 37. And I think he's just a genius. He's just a genius guy in general. Forget the game of it all. He's just a genius guy, and that typically, not always, but typically translates very well into being a genius Survivor player. So I'm excited to have Mike White on my team, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Mike White! Anyways, for the next pick, it's back over to Paige.
My next pick was Jonathan. I personally, this was more of a strategic points move. I don't think Jonathan is gonna win the whole game, but I think Jonathan will definitely make merch. Here's why. The challenge beast never. Anderson thinks that Jonathan's getting voted out first, and I think that's crazy. If Jonathan gets voted out first, I'm like an idiot right now. But Jonathan is not getting out first. Like, there's no way, because typically in past seasons, the first tribal council is not based on tribal lines. There's no really alliances yet. It's typically based on who did the worst in the challenge every single season of Survivor. I might not finish season, but I always watch the first episode. The person that's voted out first is always the weakest link on the team, because if you're losing the first challenge, you have to fix it so you get better for the next challenge. You know what I mean? Or so usually it's someone that struggles in the puzzle. Typically it's a lot of people in the puzzle. Jonathan's not being put in the puzzle. And I was talking to Anderson today, and he's like, well, none of these teams are weak. Yes, but one has to be the weakest. One has to lose. That's how the game works. And if Jonathan happens to be on that losing team, I don't think he's going to be the one to go. So yeah, Jonathan will not be the first boot. And I think he's going to make merch, and I think he's not going to get much past merch unless he's a really great strategic game. But again, I didn't watch Jonathan's season, so...
All right, Paige picked Jonathan, and I heard some fighting words in that video. Now, when I'm recording this, I don't yet have all of Paige's videos explaining her picks. However, we talked about this one a lot, and I heard fighting words in that video because I did see this video. This one, along with the next 4 players, I saw her pick in the videos already by now. I'm sorry. Those sound like fighting words. So when Jonathan goes out first, don't come crying to me about it. Alright? Listen, Jonathan, everything Paige said about Jonathan is very true. He's a challenge beast. He's very strong. He was on season 42. He dragged people on his back. He carried them, quite literally carried them through challenges. But doesn't that just sound like a really strong player? And also worth noting, this is Jonathan's words himself. For the past 4 years since he's been on Survivor, he has been training with, as he calls him, Mr. Rob, otherwise known as Boston Rob. He's been training with Boston Rob to get a strategic sense of the game. So now all of a sudden you have a competition beast who is also a strategic mastermind at the game. That's not a guy I want to keep around on the island if I'm out there. That's a guy I want out as soon as possible. I don't care if he carries me through challenges. I don't want to risk him getting to the individual portion of the game and steamrolling everyone. That's not a risk I want to take as a player in this game. And it's for that reason that I think he should be first boot. And also, there's not much promotion with him. He's not in many trailers. He doesn't have any lines in any of the trailers. He didn't have a episode featured of him. He didn't get an episode on the reruns. He's just all around very absent. And yes, I know he was in New York and Mike White wasn't. But Mike White's in Hollywood. Like, I can't blame Mike White for not being there. And everyone was in New York. Of course he's gonna be in New York. But he has to go. Otherwise he will just steamroll everyone. And I think the players are smart enough to realize that. And to my point that I made to Paige earlier, every team is a strong team. Every team can win competitions. They don't need Jonathan to carry them through it. Is it nice? Sure. But they don't need him. They're perfectly fine on their own without him. So Jonathan has gotta go. He's out. He's out with the first hour and a half of this episode. Watch. And if you're watching this back after the episode's out, I never said any of that. Unless I was right, in which case I told you so. Alright. For my next draft pick, we have a guy who really likes Magellan, apparently. It is Benjamin Coach Wade, the Dragon Slayer, back at it again. He was on 3 seasons of Survivor previously, 18, 20, and 23. He is known for... I'll take back what I was about to say. He is originally known for being a big character on the show. He was on the Villains tribe of Heroes vs. Villains, although he will say he has no idea why he was on the Villains tribe and he belonged on the Heroes tribe. But yeah. And then 23 happened, I guess. He got second place on 23, so that's good. But we're going to ignore 23. 23, I think 23 coach is out the window. I think he's gone. I don't think he's coming back. And I'm happy about that. But yeah, Coach is just another strong guy. I learned he's a music nerd, which I'm drawn to music nerds immediately. That's like my thing. And yeah, Coach is I think just a solid all-around pick. So now we're gonna head it back over to Paige's next draft pick.
My next pick was Charlie. Charlie was one of my favorites on his season. Literally my favorite on that season. Swiftie, like everything. I just love Charlie. I think he played a really great game when he was on the show, and I think he could go very far.
All right, we got Charlie over on Paige's draft team. Charlie was the runner-up of 46. A lot of people said he should have won. Massive Taylor Swift fan, which is why I think he shouldn't have won, because I don't like Taylor Swift. However, Paige does like Taylor Swift, because when we were texting this, her line for this was saying that wow, my brain just does not like me. Her punchline here was that she's got to pick the Swiftie, Charlie himself. And it's for that reason that Charlie needs to go sooner rather than later, because I can't be dealing with that. However, Charlie is a very smart player, and a lot of people think he should have won his season. So I think he's going to be coming into the season with a similar target on his back as the other winners who are on this season are going to have. I think people are going to want him out of there sooner rather than later. I don't think he's going to make it too far, but I don't think he's going to get cut too early either. I think he's going to be somewhere in the middle, either just before merge or just after merge. I think he's going to be cut. But yeah, he's one of 3 people from 46, which could work for him. It also could work against him, but we'll see what happens. All right, now for my next draft pick, we have Dee. Now, Dee is the first winner to be drafted. Dee was on season 45, and she won. She has since been on the challenge. She is very strong. She's a strong competitor. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen her season. I after COVID, I stopped watching for a little bit and then came back to it. So I haven't seen seasons 42 through 46. Here's the deal with why I chose D. I think out of the winners, she's gonna have the smallest target on her back. I think Kyle's was more recent and is more talked about because of him and Kamilla, to where I think people are going to want him gone pretty soon. Savannah just won, and while yes, I know they filmed this before anyone knew she won, and only her and Rizo knew she won, I was watching the preseason interviews. They all figured it out. They figured out that Dee and Kyle, as two winners on a 3-tribe season, does not work. There has to be one other, which means either Savannah or Rizo won, and a lot of people think Savannah won. And the fear of the unknown, the fear of the known is not as bad as the fear of the unknown. So I think Savannah's going to have a huge target on her back going into this as well. So I think out of the winners, D is the smartest pick for the draft. And I also think that, well, this goes for any of the winners, honestly. If they get far enough into this game, I think they can run it. And quite frankly, I think if any of the three of them are sitting next to anyone other than Cirie at the end, they do win. Just because being able to get there once and win, that's impressive. If you're now sitting at the end again, you must have been an amazing player, and you deserve to win at that point. So yeah, I think if any of them make it far enough into the game, they have a real chance at winning again. And I think D has the best chance out of the three of them, and D is also just a strong competitor and a fun personality. So yeah, that's why I picked D. Now we're heading back over to Paige's next draft pick.
Next one scares me a little bit just because I don't know if winners are going to be targeted. Just because you've won the game already, you already have the $1 million, you already have the title of sole survivor. Are those going to be quick to go? That was my thing. But I was reading through his description. Sounded like he'd be a great winner. Again, like he was a great winner. I did not watch this season. But based off of what I did know about him, he seemed like a great player, and he did win. So he has the ability to win twice. But if you get targeted early on, it's really hard to make it past, especially when there's no idols. Alliances are kind of new. So I think the winners could be at risk. That's my theory. But I do have 2 winners, I think, on here. I don't think I have all 3. Unless I missed a winner. I don't remember who the third one is.
I want it to be known that Paige berated me for picking D so early on because she was a winner. And then the very next pick she made was Kyle, the other winner. Also, what do you mean you haven't seen 48? 48 is a great season. Watch 48, Paige. Paige, you have to watch season 48. It's a great season. Sheesh. Not watching 48. Yikes. Anyways, Kyle just won season 48 alongside Kamilla, who he took almost to the end. Both of them, Kyle and Kamilla, agreed that they could not sit next to each other because they both thought the other one would win over them. No one knew they were in an alliance the entire season. It was a secret alliance played masterfully. And yeah, he's just an amazing player. Everyone now knows that he's a lawyer. And Joe is also here, meaning there's 3 people from 48 here. And I think, whoa, hello, why, what? Good morning, timer, go away. Anyways, as I was saying, everyone is going to want to get someone from 48 out. I think Kyle is first to go. So, you can have him, Paige. I don't want him, but you know who I do want. Give me Chrissy. Now, Chrissy's an interesting one. Because I don't know much about Chrissy. I really don't, to the point where I'm opening the page. She got second place on 35. This is definitely a season I saw. I just don't remember her at all. What is she doing? People liked her. She's getting given idols and stuff. She tied the women's record for most individual immunity wins in a season. Oh, wow, I made a good pick. Reason why I picked Chrissy is she's in a lot of the promotional stuff. This is back to that metagaming that I was doing before. She was in a lot of promotional stuff. She has an episode in the reruns and no one else on her season is in this season, so that says something about her. And she also beat cancer since last time. Last time she was on the show, she was diagnosed with cancer and beat it. That shows that she is a strong person. So that is why I wanted her on my draft team. Now let's hand it back over to Paige for her next draft pick.
For my next pick, maybe kind of a wild card. I don't know. I went for Jenna. That's the day one girl would say she played season 1 and 8. I don't know if she'll win, but I think she'll play great. Or she could, because she's an early player, be targeted early, which scares me a little bit with this pick. But I'm feeling like, and I don't know if she's the same as, like, Colby's also a very early player. He played very early on in the game. But he could be seen more as a challenge beast. But also he was a challenge beast when he was on season, I don't remember what season he was on. I know he was in, I watched one of the seasons he was on. I've seen Heroes vs. Villains and I've seen 50, so it's like a lot of my, like, I'm basing a lot of this on that stuff, but season 20 was still early. They're all still early players, so.
All right. Going all the way back to season 1 with Jenna. I'm conflicted with Jenna. Jenna is in great shape. Is a point towards her. She's also been doing this the longest. Point against her. She is a good competitor and a smart player. Positive towards her. She hasn't played since season 8. Negative from her. In season 8 also she targeted all the winners. Positive and a negative, because there are some winners here who might see that and take that as a threat. It's been 22 years since she last played. Does she still have it? I think the answer could be yes. I think the answer could also be no. And I think we won't know until we see the episode. But for that reason, it was just a lot of risks for me, and I didn't want to take her. And quite frankly, I have her as my third boot prediction. So, you can have her. It's a lot of risks taking Jenna, but it could pay off. Speaking of risks, we're going into my next pick with probably the riskiest pick I could have made, which is really funny because apparently it was the pick that Paige wanted next after Jenna. So the fact that we both wanted to make the risky pick next is something, because I got Q. Now, Q. Again, I haven't seen this season. However, I feel like I have, based off of everything I've heard about Q. Just purely based off the word of mouth. I feel like I've watched Q's season and his Q skirt and his hide and seek. He needs to tone it down. He needs to tone it down a little bit. I think he needs to keep some of the chaos because that's who he is. But I think he needs to tone it down at least in the beginning a little bit and get his footing first. Season 46. So, yeah. It's an interesting one. But hopefully the chaos pays off. He's one of 3 players from his season, though. Which makes me a little concerned. Because they could be targeted because of that. But we'll see what happens. Back to Paige for her next draft pick.
Next I went Aubry. I have seen 2 of Aubry's seasons. I saw her first season, and then I saw her, I believe it's her most recent. It was, I'm gonna say 39. When they brought back like 4 players, brought like Kelly Wentworth back, David back. I've seen that season I think twice. I don't know why, but I have seen it at least once. She had a really good gameplay. She's super sweet. I think she'll be like an underdog almost. Like, I think, not that she'd play a similar game to Sandra, but I could see that coming for, like I could see that happening.
All right, another interesting draft pick, which could either really, really pay off or really, really go terribly, and there's not much in between. It's Aubry. Now, Aubry's played 3 times before. Once on 32, once on 34, and once on 38. She fought from the bottom on Korong her first season. She got 2nd place in the end. And then on Game Changers, it kind of just Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. Game Changers also went well for her and got 5th place. Between those 2 seasons, which were pretty close together, 32 and 34, it was going well for Aubry. Then Edge of Extinction happened, season 38, and kind of fell apart for Aubry. She wasn't really present that much, which is also why I didn't want her, because she's not in a much of the promotion. The only episode on the reruns that she was in was a Edge of Extinction episode where she was sitting on the jury. So it just wasn't a great. It was just like Jenna. It was another risk, which if it pays off, it's gonna pay off real good. But if not, it's gonna go real bad. And I didn't want to take that risk. I would rather have a solid team, which I know is gonna solidly place well enough, and isn't much of a risk, than take those risks. So with that being said, for my next draft pick, I pick. I think my choice was influenced a little bit by where I was. I was in the city. I was online for the Idol Hunt in New York City yesterday. And I was getting a little cold. And I had a sweatshirt and a hoodie. But you know what I wish I just had? I wish I had a jacket. Just like Angelina wishes she had a jacket on her season. So I picked Angelina for my next draft pick. Now, Angelina, the ultimate negotiator that doesn't normally go away from season 37. She got 2nd place on 37. But, she negotiated for rice. She negotiated for a jacket. She's not afraid to just throw something at the wall, see if it sticks, and not be afraid for it to fall off. For that reason, I think she's going to come into this game fired up. She wants to win. And also, she wants a better reputation. She played a great game, honestly. But her reputation, how people view her, is not great. I think she wants a better reputation. I think that's going to make her play harder than she played the first time. And she played pretty hard the first time. So I think Angelina is just a solid pick. But next, back over to Paige for her 10th draft pick.
Next I went Savannah. I was surprised she was available this late in the game. My next two picks, I was like, who do I pick next? I was like, wait, duh. Savannah just won season, I'm an idiot, 49. Why can I not think? So she has a lot of experience winning, but also I feel like she could be targeted because of that, just because, like, she did just win, like, 2 months prior to this, but she's also going in with a really strong alliance with Rizo, and I think that could help her, and I think also that could target them because they have a strong alliance, or can be people like, oh, they're a group of 2. This early, like, I don't think, I probably didn't put them in the same tribe, so are they going to try to set that up early? Like, oh, she's someone on the other tribe that she knows, cut her now. I could totally see that being a possibility, but she also is really good at challenges. She did very well in 49.
Again, Paige saying she doesn't want winners, and then choosing the winners. She got Savannah and Kyle on her team. But Savannah is from season 49. She just won the show. She's close friends and alliance members with Rizo, who is also on this season. Which could help them, could go against them. No one has seen their season as of when they filmed Survivor 50, because they filmed Survivor 50 last summer, before the season had even aired. Right after 48 ended airing is when they filmed 50. So it's an interesting thing with no one really knowing Savannah. Everyone thinks she won, though. In the preseason interviews, everyone thinks she won the season, and they are correct. So she will have the winner's target on her back, and she knows that. She realized that in the preseason, from her preseason interview. So she definitely has her work cut out for her. I think she could be a nice early boot. She could make a long run. There's no way to know until the season goes. Everyone is also comparing her to like a young Parvati, or like someone, I forget who, but someone said she looks like if Parvati was a nesting doll and she's what popped out, which I found funny. So yeah, that's not a great reputation to have going into a game. So we'll see how it works out for Savannah. Anyways, for my next draft pick, we have Kamilla. I picked Kamilla for a few reasons. Number 1, Kamilla was genuinely someone I wanted on my draft. I believe, is my 12th place prediction. So ideally I wanted her in my 12th. Yeah, she's my 12th place prediction. So in my 12th, I wanted Kamilla. That's one reason I picked her. Another reason I picked her is because she made it far into the game. Season 4. Not season 4. I'm sorry. Season 48, she got 4th, is what I was trying to say. Went out to fire making because Kyle knew he couldn't sit next to her in the end. Played a great game. Again, mastered the Secret Alliance just like Kyle. I'm going to have her target on her back, though, because there's 3 people for 48, along with Kyle himself, is here. So that's going to be some managing to do there. Kamilla also has been featured all too much in the preseason press. But it's enough to where I feel comfortable with her making it decently far. And the other reason I picked Kamilla is because I didn't want Paige to have both Kamilla and Kyle. That's a bit too much. Because I think one of them is going to get voted out early, and the other one's going to go pretty far. And if you have both of them, that guarantees that you get the one that goes pretty far. And I think Kamilla is the one that goes pretty far. So I wanted to take that before Paige got. But speaking of Paige, we're going into Paige's next pick.
And next, I went Rizo because Rizo also played a great game, got very far in 49. They still know the current state of the game, but I think it's going to target them. They just played, and that they have a guaranteed alliance with someone on another team, which can definitely be like a reason. That's the reason I would vote someone out.
Paige's next pick, she picked the Rizgod Rizgod baby. She got Rizo for her next pick. Having both Savannah and Rizo on the draft team is an interesting choice that either goes really well or really poorly. Rizo got 4th place in his season. 49 just aired. No one has seen it yet, just like Savannah. It could go really any way with Rizo. He could make it all the way to the end. He could be out first. Like, there's no telling what's in store for Rizo. It's not easy. The other thing that's interesting that made it very hard for me to figure out where to place Savannah and Rizo on my list is I needed to figure out. I based it off of a lot of preseason press, which included the episode reruns. But there were no 49 episodes in the reruns, but I don't think that's because they're not relevant. I think that's because season 49 just aired. Why are we doing reruns on a season that only just ended? So it's hard to tell how they're gonna do, and we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I love Rizo as a character. I did want him on my team. This is the one that hurts the most. I feel like she stole a couple of people from me that I wanted, Cirie and Rick. But I think the one that hurt the most is she took Rizo from me. And Rizo wasn't even on my original list. But as things were dwindling down, I was like, I want Rizo, and then she took him from me right before I was gonna grab him, and that was sad. But it's fine, because I got my next pick of Genevieve. Now, Genevieve is an interesting one. A lot of people think she's going to win. She was on season 47. She was voted out day 24 at the final 5. She made it deep run. She was a great strategic player on that season. She hasn't been featured in a lot of the press, which makes me personally worried about her, because that probably means she doesn't make it far, and that's why I have her predicted as my second boot. But I took her anyways, purely because she is a great game player, and because a lot of people think she's gonna win the entire thing. So I have faith in Genevieve. Genevieve is a great player. I want her to stay around. I just don't think she's long for this season, unfortunately. But let's kick it back over to Paige for her final draft pick.
My last pick, I went Tiffany. I don't really know her. Yeah, I think it rounds out my team. Like, I remember her thing. It looked like she played a great game. So yeah.
For Paige's final pick, she took Tiffany. And when I tell you, I was very happy when she took Tiffany and not the other person that's left that I'll talk about in a second because I got her. I was happy because I wanted the other person more than I wanted Tiffany. So, it's fine. Tiffany is the final player from 46. She's part of that 3 with Q and Charlie. Could go for her, could go against her. She's one of a few people here who didn't make it super, super far. But far enough to where she's worth on the season. Season 48. Season 48. That's not what I meant. Season 46 to season 50, she got 8th place in 46. Yeah, but I honestly think every player in this season is a strong player. Which is why it's so hard to predict this and so hard to do this and figure it out ahead of time. But we'll find out tonight, right? I don't know much about Tiffany. That's the reason I didn't really want her. I'm scared of the unknown. Just like I feel like players are gonna be scared of Savannah Rizzo because they're the unknown. But that's why I didn't want Tiffany, and which is why I'm happy for my final draft pick. I got Emily Flippen. Oh, I'm so happy I got Emily and not Tiffany. Sorry, Tiffany. Nothing against you, Tiffany. I just don't know much about you. So that's why I didn't want you. But Emily, on the other hand, Emily is also in a season I didn't watch, season 45. However, I know a bit more about Emily. She had this transformation throughout the season, apparently. And she said going into this that she wants to be a bit in between where she started last season and where she ended last season. And I think that's probably a good thing for her. But yeah. But she's also just smart. She's smart. She's intelligent. She's a big personality, and those type of people could do very well on a show like this. So that's why I was happy to take her as my last pick. Not that I picked her. I would have picked her, to be clear. I would have picked her over Tiffany if I had the choice. But hey, I'll take Emily just being handed to me.
Some people I wish I had on my team. I mean, obviously Ozzy or Coach. Those are like, I love Ozzy. Ozzy's one of my favorite players. I believe Ozzy deserved the win. Wait, did Ozzy win? No, Ozzy didn't win. I always get the game confused up where they brought Russell Hands back and Boston Rob, I'm gonna say it was. Like, I always get that season mixed up. Like, I always get Boston Rob and Ozzy mixed up because I just think they're both great Survivor players. So I love to have Ozzy or Coach. I don't think they're gonna win though. I think they're gonna be taking like, oh my god, Survivor Legend, let's flip them out early. That's what I think. Or they're gonna be hard to get out. I don't know which way it could go. I did try to get Chrissy Hofbeck. That was another one I did try to grab, but Anderson literally got it right before me, and Q. Those were two I tried to grab at one point, but Anderson literally grabbed them right before. That's the only ones I got in my head. Obviously, there's a lot of people. Colby I'd love to have. A lot of people I'd love to have on this list, but may the best man win. I'm scared.
Alright. So, in the end, we have Paige's team, consisting of Cirie, Vic Devens, Kristen, Stephenie, Jonathan, Charlie, Kyle, Jenna, Aubry, Savannah, Rizo, and Tiffany. And then we have my team, consisting of Ozzy, Joe, Colby, Mike, Coach D, Chrissy, Q, Angelina, Kamilla, Genevieve, and Emily. Now, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm feeling very confident going into this, because I made predictions going into this, and I'm not going to share them fully here. Oh god, my headphones are gone. I'll probably go over them like as the episodes come out each week. I'll go over who I thought was gonna go home. Like I'll go through my predictions ahead of what I had before the season even started. I'll probably remake predictions like midway through the season. I'll probably do another predictions and make a video about that. But out of my predictions, I got 10 of my top 12 on my team, which is Ozzy, Joe, Colby, Mike, Coach D, Chrissy, Q, Angelina, Kamilla. I all had in my top 12, and I have 10 of my top 12. The two I didn't get were Cirie and Vic. I wanted Cirie and Vic, because I do think, I have a feeling Cirie, Ozzy, Joe, and Vic are going to be Final Four, and they're going to be running things a bit. And then as far as my other two picks that weren't in my top 12, Genevieve I didn't put higher up purely because of how the promotion was been going, and there hasn't been much Genevieve at all. Genevieve is one of the players who didn't get an episode either. So that's why I didn't put her higher. But a lot of people think she can win this thing. I think she's a strong player. And then Emily's a great personality, a great player. From what I've learned about her in the preseason press, I think she's a fun person. So I'm happy to have her as well. I think I have a great team, and I think I have the winning team, and Paige's team are gonna lose. Quite frankly, I've said it once. I'll say it again. I'm gonna win. Paige is gonna lose. And if I'm wrong, don't look back on this after the fact. But I'm right. So sorry, Paige. Gonna beat you on this one. But that's gonna wrap it up for today. Tomorrow, I am going to have my thoughts about episode 1. I'm not sure if Paige will be joining me or not. But either way is fine. I will have my thoughts on episode 1 definitively out tomorrow. I'm gonna go over what happened in episode 1, who got booted, who seems to be doing well in the game so far, what any alliances that were formed, if there are any. It's 3 hours of television, so there's got to be some stuff there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So stay tuned tomorrow for me to go over all that, along with how the draft is going after the first episode. We're getting two player eliminations, so 2 of the players here are going to be home. But until then, I've been Anderson. Be sure to stay safe, be smart, and love one another. Goodbye.